Hello, you guys. It's Amanda Haywood here with the Make Love Not War show. I'm on a mission to help angry wives and their spouses to turn hate back to where it came from, love. Today, we have with us a very special guest. It is Marko, and he is the founder of the feelgoodrituals.com and a few books. As you can see here, it is Feel Good Marriage and the 5 Little Love Rituals and 74 Little Love Boosters. Hello, Marko. Welcome.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for this nice introduction. I'm glad to be here, so I'm looking forward to talking with you.
You too. First up, I want to ask, where in the world are you?
Well, I'm located 2 hours east from Venice in Italy, so I live in Slovenia.
Yeah.
It's a small little country squeezed between Italy and Austria and Croatia.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I'm working from right now.
And you are actually, I'm from Europe, and you're the only other expert from Europe. So I'm very glad to talk to you to get some input from my own continent.
Yeah.
Let's get started to help the viewers out there. First of all, I want to ask you this because people out there might be sitting thinking that they can't save their marriage. Do you believe everyone can save their marriage?
Well, I wouldn't say that everyone can save their marriage, but let's say that if there is no abuse or, some drastic stuff that's going on, I think many of them can, and I was in a very bad place with my wife a couple of years ago. And I would say that after many attempts that almost ended up in a divorce, things are embarrassingly simple. They are not easy. That would mean that you don't need any effort, but they are simple. And it all comes down to just a couple of things that we should be doing as partners. And my work evolves around, talking about that and writing about these simple little things that anyone can do to deepen their bond, and have a happy marriage or relationship.
Yeah. And that's why it's called Feel Good Rituals. So these are things you can do, but you also need to keep doing them in order to.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's about love habits. But because if I go a step back, after I wrote my first book, which is called Feel Good Marriage, I received many emails from my readers, and also from my coaching practice. I just tried to distill or identify the simplest, habits that successful couples use, to have their relationship enjoyable and fulfilling and healthy. And I identified 5 love habits, which are actually very simple to do, and they don't take a lot of time. They are free, and you can do them at home. And I prefer to call them rituals because I think they're special. It's not like a habit of brushing your teeth in the morning. It's a little bit more special, and that's why I call them love rituals. And basically, I think that 80% of anyone's relationship will eventually evolve around doing those love rituals that I write about.
Mm-hmm. So what is the biggest mistake people make in relationships?
Well, yeah, I get this question quite a lot, and I would say there are 2 of them actually. One is kind of obvious, but still, people forget about that. People think that relationship will take care of itself. So just as an analogy, most people would agree that anyone who wants to lose weight but only diets twice or once per year or walks around the block, once per month, they can't have their body in perfect shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but when it comes to their own relationship, people expect just that. So it's not logical. And isn't it interesting, when how much time we spend, planning for our education, building our career, building a home or planning a vacation. We all know how much time can we invest into that.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to putting deliberate thought into what matters the most, then we just don't invest any time or very little. So when it comes to relationship with another person that we love and with whom we chose to spend the rest of our life, we don't put deliberate effort into it. And then, people just are disillusioned. Then they ask what went wrong. But basically, a lot of people just put their marriage on cruise control. They just watch their lives unfolding sidelines as if it wasn't their own, but someone else's.
Do you think it's because they feel that it's impossible, that the task, they don't know how to do it? It's too big.
Well, I'm really not sure, but I think that people sometimes think things are harder than they really are.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to very simple things. Let me tell you one thing. What I have found that successful couples do. So they think a little differently. While they love each other deeply, they don't rely on initial loving feelings, when they were loved, just to last forever. They create them. They create them every day. And that's when it happens that it's just fun and enjoyable and fulfilling to just be around each other. When you are genuinely interested into what is happening to your loved one and how they are feeling. When your spouse is drawn to you because, they know that you want to give them what they need, even if they don't return the favor. That's when the magic happens.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's not so difficult to do that.
Yeah, but maybe you're too wrapped up in your own world, so you're really not genuinely interested in the other part.
Well, that's when it's a shift in mentality. What we do typically, not just in marriage, but let's say a job or with other people. We tend to blame other people, we have a problem and then we say, if only, let's say in marriage, if only she would do that, everything would be fine. Or if only he would, say that or be doing that, no, we would be fine. And that's basically pushing the responsibility to the other side. And it's not okay, because you don't control that. Changing other people, and especially changing your spouse, is a hard job, and it won't work.
No.
So the only way to go and to move forward is to start changing yourself and your reactions. And to be honest, it's a hard question. Nobody likes that. I don't like it. But we should really always ask ourselves, okay, things are not okay and they are bad, but what did I do to contribute to this mess myself?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to make things easier or to make them nicer or to be happier? What can I do? Because that's the only thing we can control. We can't control our spouses. We can't control even our kids. I mean, we can influence them to a degree, but, and we can force them. But then they're going to hate us for that we force them to do something they don't want. So the only thing we can do is to actually start with ourselves. And that's why I'm saying that there are certain things and love habits that you can start right away, on yourself, by yourself, without waiting for your spouse to join. Because that's always kind of this game, why should I start? He's to blame or she's to blame, and then both are waiting on each other, kind of, it's a dance. So, and so years go by, decades go by, and they're still waiting on each other to make the first move. That's crazy. It's just one life, I think. And, you have to decide eventually how you're going to spend it.
Do I want this or don't I? If I do,
yeah,
good, or make it at least great, or at least good.
Yeah, and there are things that we can do. There's another thing that I call a silent killer of relationships. You know, it's the perception that we have about our spouse. Let's say what couples believe to be true about each other matters much more than the, let's say, lack of communication. I know internet and books and are being written about communication, and how we have to improve it and so on. And it's true. It's very important how you say things and to be mindful when you are angry, and upset and so on. But in reality, the negative perception, or let's say when couples let the negative perception to prevail, that's where the trouble starts. You know, because it may sound weird, but you become what you think about. So similarly, a happy or unhappy marriage always starts with a thought. And what do I mean with that? So it's our thoughts that make us feel good or bad about something. And it's our feelings that actually determine how we're going to behave. And it's our behavior in some consistent manner over time that builds habits. And they determine the results we get in life. And they determine what do we believe in and what do we stand for. And, the results we get, they influence the thoughts back. So the loop is closed. And so why is that important? Well, exactly because I said that, what we believe to be true about our partner influences how do we think about them and what feelings do we have about them. And, it's, let's say, what would be a positive perception? When we are in love, there isn't a single person on the face of the planet that would convince you that your newly found mate isn't the funniest person in the world, right? Even though, people around would disagree. And that's why we say, we are wearing rose-colored glasses, right? Mm-hmm. And that's called positive perception of things. Now, if you believe your spouse to be sloppy, you will notice socks on the floor once, but you won't pay attention to many times when this doesn't happen. You will see only the dirty dishes, but you won't see the lawn meticulously cut in the garden. You will literally delete, and not just, all of us, we are just like that. We are people. We will delete all the information that goes against our belief. And most of the time, we won't even be aware of doing it.
Yeah.
That's called negative perception. Now, why is that important? Because, it doesn't matter if our perception matches the reality. In our mind, it's true, and with time, we become more and more convinced of it. Yeah. And so what happens? It's toxic because, negative perception, it's usually fed by malicious focus on the wrong parts of our partner. Wrong parts,
You don't see.
So if you have a negative picture of your partner in your head, then you're constantly looking for more proof that, your partner is, and you can fill in the blanks with your most common criticism of your partner, right? And you will keep finding proof that it's really so. And it's a vicious cycle because both of the partners are doing that, just, in the other areas of their life together. And then it seems after years go by, there won't be anything that spouse says or does that the other one will not perceive as negative, even it was done and said with all the best intentions. And, then you see partners and spouses that are just bickering, they're just, there is no matter what anyone says, it's being perceived as negative, like they're attacking each other.
Yeah.
They have this perception, their picture of their partner in their head, which is kind of evil, like, even when they just want, something nice and good and they say something harmless, it's being perceived negatively. And with years, it spins faster and faster. And then people divorce.
How do you change a bad belief that is the root of how you see and perceive your partner? How do you change that?
Well, yeah, I think that's that's a very good question, because you have to start somewhere, and it's a problem if you're not able to talk normally. There are people who actually can't just sit down and say, okay, let's talk about it, because it's end up in very quickly, it's end up in blaming, and you did that to me last time, and so on. So it doesn't work. So I would say my answer is little hinges swing big doors. So it's the little things that matter the most. You really, if you're in a bad place right now, odds are it took a while to get where you are today.
Yeah.
So
it can go out to get into the bad place as well.
Yeah. So, the best, and to me, the best and most effective way to start turning things around and to stop this vicious cycle is by taking the baby steps. So what I mean. So earlier I said that successful couples don't rely on loving feelings to come naturally. They keep creating them deliberately and consistently.
Not by themselves. Yeah, you need to do something.
Exactly. And then, and how do you do that? It's two things are important here to know. And one was actually found by Dr. John Gottman. Many of you may have already, read about him. He's one of the few living legends in the marital therapy. And over a number of years, he studied hundreds of couples. And what he found is that successful couples who've stayed together have 5 times more positive interactions than negative ones. So basically, our job is to make the number of positive interactions outnumber the negative ones by far. And now, so how can you do that? You can't go out on a fancy dinner every day, right? And Valentine's Day is only once per year, and birthdays once per year, so it won't cut it. It's not enough. And that's exactly the mistake people are making. They're thinking that some big gestures are enough. They're not. So we are looking for something more simple, And the other part of the equation is, it has to be repeatedly, it has to be something that, you're getting good feelings about your spouse every day, not once per month. Or when you went to a vacation without the kids, and you're lying on a tropical beach with a book, then probably you will get along. Yeah, but you need to do something every day. It has to be simple, So, and that how we came about to things that anyone can do today. That you have to start with simple things. And that is my, latest book about. It's 47 little love boosters, because basically it's about things that you can do right now. Mm-hmm. They're free. You can do them at home, and you can start them on your own without waiting on your spouse. And just to illustrate my point, I'm not going to reveal everything, because as part of this program, you can get this book for free as our gift. But today, but let's say for a number of years, I have a home office, right? After I left my corporate world, I set up my own company. I have a home office. So every day when my wife leaves to go, to go out, she has a job outside, of course. We hug each other, and I give her a kiss, and I just compliment how she looks, and whatever comes to my mind. But we just have this little habit or ritual, and sometimes I forget. I'm already working something, and I hear my wife, "Don't I get a kiss today?" She got addicted to it to a degree. She kind of, that's for her is a little bit of a kick every day. So she goes out, with good feelings. It doesn't cost me anything. It doesn't cost her anything.
But it can cost.
It connects us. Yeah, I didn't hear you, Amanda. What?
But it can cost something if you forget it, but it doesn't cost anything to do it.
Yeah, and I have identified many more such love boosters, and I think anyone who is in trouble, maybe, they could start with that, because let me give you another example, and then I'm not going to talk about it a lot anymore. But, let's say the simplest thing you can do is to smile is say thank you. How many times do we say thank you? A sincere thank you.
Yeah, look.
For something, to be specific, right? Thank you for doing this and that for me. So, how many times do we say that? We may think that, but we don't say it loud. It's common sense, really, right? It's not rocket science, what I'm saying now, but it's not common practice. That's surprisingly common, that it's not common practice. People say, wow, but I didn't say anything special. It's not rocket science, right? But it's just that we forget, with life that's so quick, and, we have so many responsibilities. We just forget to enjoy these little pleasurable moments in time, and they are the most important. To me, I think the little things are the things that count. For example, how many of us remember what we got for a birthday present 3 years ago? I don't.
No.
I don't. But I do remember the little things that my wife is doing for me. I do remember that. And even another example, when you go to a hotel, do you remember the room, the furnishing and everything? Or do you remember, the exceptionally nice receptionist?
Good point.
See? So it's really not the gifts and the fancy dinners and the big gestures that we should be doing to each other. No, it's about the simple little things. They are the bedrock of a healthy relationship. And then you build on that. Sure, then you have to know something about, how to have a no big deal conflict, how to listen, properly, how to talk. But these things are, let's say, the last 20%, I would say, to my mind.
Okay.
The 80% are really, the really simple things. It's really, really so simple. It's embarrassingly simple sometimes.
But you need to actually count. You need to do 5. You need to have 5 positive interactions a day. If you're in a bad place, just start counting. Next time you meet your husband, avoid saying something negative. If you're in that routine, and just count to 5 positive interactions, and it's a success every time you have one. And then make sure you have 5 a day.
It's like, that's a study that Dr. John Gottman actually conducted. So it may be 5, it may be even 4, who knows, maybe even 8, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is important that, you just have to find ways, and these are the ways I'm writing about, that, you just keep sending positive signals to your spouse that you think about them. That you may even not agree with them on everything today, but you love them and you want them well. And they will feel that, and the crucial thing is you do that by not expecting a favor back. That's the crucial thing. You're not keeping score. If you do that, you're screwed. Sorry, but that's not how it works.
The success of the interaction. This didn't end up in a fight. This didn't end up in a negative note. This was a
yes.
We had an interaction and we didn't start fight.
Yeah, and if you want to be especially mindful about your progress, let's say, or not even progress, even if you're fine today, if your marriage is great, I'm writing a journal. And I'm journaling every week. So every day I can't keep it up. But, every week it's okay for me. And it's really, really liberating. It's kind of, you feel lighter because I have a set of questions that lead me through my, with my thoughts. And one of the questions is, what were the magic moments, with my wife, but also with my kids? What did I learn about myself? And what did I learn about my wife? And it's interesting because, there are a lot of things that happen in a week. And if you're not mindful about them, if you're not aware of what's happening, you're missing out on many little nice, pleasurable things that we just forget, And then when something bad happens, we say, "Oh, my wife, or let's say my life is bad, and I feel so down." But basically, it's just kind of a mental candy, Keeping a journal is mental candy. You're giving yourself candy all the time, and just remembering of the good times.
Yeah.
That's very important, actually.
You're manifesting the positive instead of giving too much weight on the negative.
Exactly. You're focusing on the good things, on the positive things, and that's one of the takeaways too. So, I think it was Dr. John Gottman too who discovered that there are 70% of things that you can't change, about your spouse. It's just like that. There, you can focus on things that are not right or don't work, or you can focus on things that do. And with time, you will find out that, most of them that are really important to you are okay,
Yeah, the fundamental. Is he able to love?
Otherwise, you wouldn't be with that person, probably. There was a reason why did you end up with this person, or why did you marry this person. So, it's not a good idea, and it is not a good plan to focus on things that you find them wrong, kind of. And interestingly, if I compare today and a couple of years ago, the state of our marriage with my wife, the things that I hated the most a couple of years ago, now they are amusing to me, it's kind of cute. Yeah. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that something things that drove me crazy a couple of years ago, now I just smile. And that's what you can achieve step by step with baby steps. It's a dance. But you have to start, and that's it.
Did you find a solution to those things that annoyed you? Did you hire a maid? Or...
Look, no, there is no solution. For example, I'm a planner, I'm kind of a early riser. I plan out my vacations well in advance and so on. So if I let her do it, my wife, it's going to be tricky. I'll tell you, it's not going to go well, and for example, or, she's taking mayonnaise out, she leaves it on the table, I just find that disturbing for some reason,
That's because I know exactly what you feel, and it's because you're just in a negative place. You're in a deficit instead of a surplus. And when you're in a deficit, there's just no small little things.
But, these are really meaningless. These things are not so important. If you have this, I would say, positive energy every day getting from your spouse, this
or you can go out and get a surplus. Because if those little things annoy you, it means that you need to get a surplus in your energy.
Yes, exactly.
Yourself without your spouse. Even.
Exactly. But what we tend to do is when we are in an unhappy place, we are in a bad place together, we just focus on things that don't work, that annoy us. Yeah. And then we make things up in our mind, and suddenly, maybe in a couple of years, our spouse is evil, it's kind of, they want us to feel bad.
And I think an important point is we have one life and anyone can die anytime. So just bear in mind what you have and keep that as a reality check that you're actually very spoiled. You have love, you have all these things, and really appreciate what's important, because you do that when death comes around, and it really shakes up your perspective. So
exactly. And it doesn't need to be death. What's interesting is that we may have some differences, we may even argue, but if we are really inflicting wounds to each other, and we are not nice to each other, and couples do that, we all know that. Mm-hmm. The interesting is what happens when someone gets sick. I mean, really sick. They don't need to die, but we people, we just kind of we function like that. That when something radical happens, then we start thinking. Then the perspective changes. Then when we see our spouse in a bed, in a hospital, they can die, maybe they will die or not. Then all these little things, the mayonnaise or the toilet paper or the socks on the floor, they become meaningless, right? Mm-hmm. And do we really have to wait for that to happen? I mean, that's crazy, you
Yeah,
know.
it
So
is.
do we really have to have our spouses sick or they have to die so we can start appreciating the many nice and little pleasurable things we have together? Or what? I mean, do we just focus on bad things and live with that? I mean, in some kind of bad energy around us, and feel unhappy and not fulfilled, because they can feel it. If you're having a this perspective for your spouse that it's wrong with them, this and that, they can feel it.
Yeah, you're
You
in
don't
it.
even have to tell them that. They can feel it, and they feel inadequate. And it's not nice to live in such a state where you feel that you're not enough.
And you always have the power to take a situation and make it positive or negative. You choose that. You create the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Just find the power inside yourself to actually set the mood, and don't choose to set it negative. And if you do, acknowledge that you chose it because you were actually able to get out of it if you really wanted to.
Yes, that's exactly, and that's exactly why I believe that, the 47 little love boosters, they're not groundbreaking research or anything like that. I'm just, reminding people to do the simple things that they can do on their own, because that's exactly the problem. When people get caught up in their vicious dance, they're waiting on each other, as I have mentioned already, and that's not productive. That's not leading anywhere. Someone has to start, and probably that's you. That's the way it
So your
is. And
partner may have started, but you didn't notice, so you don't know that. Just start yourself and don't.
yeah, exactly. And you can start a lot of things yourself, because you don't need your spouse to be, you can always say thank you, for example. You can start many things that you don't need your spouse for. You can do that on your own. That's it.
Start by feeling the love within yourself and just have
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
as much
Exactly.
possible every day. We have to, time is running out. I want to talk about your free gifts to the Make Love Not War listeners.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, it's my book called 47 Little Love Boosters.
Yes.
Connect and deepen your bond, no matter how busy you are.
Indeed.
So basically, the title says it all. It's about the little things that you can do for your spouse today, or your partner, if you're married or not. So today, it costs no money. You could do them with you will spend very little time, sometimes only seconds, and you can do them on your own, which is the most important thing.
So guys out there, grab that one. It's in the link when this interview comes out. In that email, there is a link to it. Grab it and start doing it, and choose at least one of all of these experts and go with their help and take it step by step to just take action, and don't just sit back and let your marriage just drive on its own.
Exactly.
So that's the one. Yes, that's the free gift. And then there's also your book out there. They can find it on Amazon. The book called The 5 Little Love Rituals, that is also there.
Yeah, basically there are 3 books out there. The 5 Little Love Rituals are, the 47 Little Love Boosters are actually covering the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest love ritual of all. It's doing nice little things for each other, to put it simple, right? Yeah. And it's a starter. But the book,
angry that you just do it anyway, because the love will come. Don't worry about the hate and the anger. Just ignore it. Do this if you really want to stay in a marriage.
I mean, even if you're angry, you can do a lot of them. Really, it is like that. It's like, you just, you do good, you get bad, you get good back. It's just like kind of universal law. It's in a universe, it's just like that. And the 5 little rituals are actually covering all the 5 little rituals, which I found to be very simple to do, and I will not give you a lot away, but I'd say there is let's say I'll give you another one. There are many things what you can do that will really let's say bring back the spark, which is, for example, the power of surprise. Okay, So, and there are many ways how you can surprise your spouse without spending a lot of money or none of it, actually. And it's really powerful. And I'm also talking about why is that so powerful? Because one of the reasons why people end up in affairs, and doing things that they shouldn't be doing is they get bored. Right, plain and simple. And you can do a lot of things every day or every week or pretty frequently that are simple and they will prevent that, for example.
Yeah, to not get bored. Very good point. Good note to leave on. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there. God bless you, inshallah. Namyo Renge Kyo. Take care wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for having me. Bye.